guys, welcome to Clockwork Noodles for another episode of Clockwork Rewind, old animes that I really enjoy, and I'm sharing with you guys my thoughts, rewatching them for the first time in sometimes decades, and whether I'd recommend them or not. Today we are doing something very close to my heart. We're doing my all-time favourite anime, because at some point I had to mention it. I love this show. I have actually read the manga. I know, stop the press, Becca doesn't read manga. The anime stopped at a really awkward point, and I wanted to know more, so I had to dig out the manga. Read the manga till the end. I absolutely love it. The manga is worth reading, 100%. I had a poster of Tomoe on the wall for a very long time. It got to the point when it got sun bleached because it was opposite a window. I had to take it down and he's gone now, so I don't have him on the wall anymore. But it might have been my earliest white-haired crush. I seem to have a thing for white-haired or blonde anime characters. Today we are looking at episode 1 of Kamisama Hajimemashita. I hope you guys are also going to have fun as I break it down. This is going to be really weird rewatching it with all of the manga information in my brain because it's going to all mean so much more. Today, guys, we are jumping back to fall 2012. The MAL score for this is 8.1. Yay, we're still above 8. That makes me very, very happy. My score was a 9 just because I don't give out 10s. I don't think I've ever given out a 10. Or maybe I did and it was like a Studio Ghibli film. I love this show to pieces. It's a rom-com. It's supernatural. I have a thing for supernatural. I also broke down Noragami on Clockwork Rewind. It's very similar. Now that I'm going through this episode, I was like, ooh, it's got quite a few similarities when it comes to the stray god or Noragami, that she's technically homeless. There's a lot of similarities, but this time it's her in the hot seat, not him. Let's jump immediately into the OP. It's very rare that an anime would just start, here's an OP. It's very rare. I knew the lyrics. I was singing along. It's got such a nice, chill, relaxed vibe. It just sets the entire tone of the show. Pastels everywhere. You get to see lots and lots of Nanami in different poses, different outfits. Nanami's awesome. I would love to cosplay Nanami at some point in the Shrine Maiden outfit. Got a huge list. As long as my anime to watch list is also my cosplay to do list. They are both equally as long as one another, but the OP for this one, it's just a classic. I absolutely love it. The ED as well, I recognise both of them. As we've been going through Clockwork Rewind, I've been telling you guys, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh no, I don't remember that. Often the shows that have had a bigger impact on me, I recognise the OPs and EDs. I don't know if that says something about a good show, whether the OP-ED is catchy or not. Mainly just Nanami, and we have one frame of the boys. Tomoe briefly appears, but it's all about Nanami, especially in maybe the first season or two. It is very Nanami based. I think Tomoe becomes your main focus a little bit later on, but for now, all about Nanami. We open quite quickly to some narration. Normally I hate narration. It makes sense. It's funny narration because they are introducing her as, this is your protagonist. Oh, isn't she lovely? Oh no, she's homeless. Oh no, her dad's a gambler. So very quickly you get the situation given to you. Everything happens in episode 1. They didn't want to spend time faffing around with fluff, so like, let's just get it done. I want it out the way so we can move on to the good stuff. The dad has a gambling addiction. He leaves her homeless, in debt. We end up meeting up with her quite quickly on the bench, looking really angry, looking very tired, homeless. Welcome to Nanami. This is going to be the girl we are following through this rom-com. She's not your typical girl as well, I think. She does show quite a few dynamics where she's got an angry side, a mischievous side. She can get really sad. We end up meeting Mikage. This means a lot to me now that I've seen the rest of the anime and what happens. Initially, you just meet the guy and he's just there in a tree, and you're like, okay, cool, there's a guy who's terrified of a dog and he's in a tree, and the dog is like tiny. She barely has to do anything and the dog just moves away. But we can see Nanami's good side where she's just trying to help him out. They do bond quite fast on the bench, being away from home or not having a home. Mikage is quite sad by this, but he then reveals that he hasn't been home in 20 years. Guy's also abandoned his home. Mikage says, you can have mine. But all these red flags starting to go crazy and you're like, whoa, this guy's just offering her a home. You definitely do see Mikage again. Episode 1, getting all those points out of the way. I didn't remember how fast the episode went, but I'm also thankful because I think it gets down to decent content quite fast. I would love them to remake it, perhaps go a little slower. Some of this stuff we don't really need to bumble through. Mikage ends up tricking, inverted quotes because I know the rest of the show, taking his role as the land god. Nanami does think it's sus. I have nowhere to go. I've got no home. She ends up at the shrine and initially it's dark. There's no lights on. I love supernatural shows. Shrine familiars. They are also familiar to the audience because they are the voice of the narrator. It makes more sense than calling her lovely now because obviously they see her as a god. They're flattering her. They're like, oh, the lovely god. Let's meet the boy of my dreams. Let's meet angry boy Tomoe. In episode 1, he's just angry. You guys are like, how the hell am I in love with someone like this? He's been left alone for 20 years, listening to wish after wish, knowing that the god isn't around. Nanami and Tomoe have a lot in common because they've both been abandoned by a parental figure, saddled with their debt. Tomoe is saddled with Mikage's land god duties. Tomoe, I promise you, he gets warmer. He brings a lot of seriousness at times. When he is warm, it's meant to be a rarity. Episode number 1, Nanami has found herself already a god, perhaps the quickest god ascension in anime. Girl gets the kiss. She's homeless and becomes a god and finds a home in episode 1. I also think her VA is great. It's just the way that she can pull it off. Very funny at times and the way that she reacts to everything. All the commotion that's going on. Tomoe initially just outright rejects Nanami. Like, you're a complete stranger. I'm not going to take you in or anything. Triggers it is when she says, this shrine is so run down. I don't think you get visitors. Obviously, she doesn't know about him being abandoned for 20 years. She doesn't understand the role of being a god. She just says that because it does look like a rundown shrine initially because I don't think there's any lights on. Annoys him and he just gets the hell out of it. Day number 1 is learning about the initial duties of a god. Does initially feel very menial, scrubbing the floors, making sure she's get the weeding in the yard and everything. Day to day looking after the shrine. It is a nice chance to slow down and take a little breather. We'll learn about Tomoe, what it means to be a familiar, confirmation of Mikage being scared of dogs. Tomoe technically being a fox, I know it's not quite the same. The foxes and dogs are not too dissimilar. I also love the moment where she's picking the weeds and Tomoe just comes in quickly just to taunt her. That's when he learns about her being homeless. And you're okay, in a true anime style, I bet he's going to feel better and he's going to be soft and gentle. No. This is Tomoe. He's angry at this point. He learns about her being homeless and he just responds by kicking her in the butt and then vanishing completely. Laugh at her and then vanish again. Troll at this point. He wants to see what's going on because he doesn't think the human's really going to cut it. She's not going to stick it out for much longer. So the episode does start to change pace. It still feels really quick. Take on a bit more of a serious pace when Nanami hears her first wish. Main important thing about being a god, being there to hear humans' wishes. That's when you start getting the piano music. She starts to understand what it means to be a god. You're like, okay, this is great. Maybe this is the point where Nanami's going to turn around and be like, yeah, okay, I can give this a shot. This is probably going to be it. But no. This is also the moment when Nanami realizes, I can't do it. It's this change of pace which initially hooked me into the show. You learn about Tomoe being there, writing down every single wish. And as Nanami says, he's got beautiful handwriting. He's taken down all the details. He's never slacked off or anything. Just when you think everything's going to be okay and she's going to be moved and she's going to be like, yep, I can do it. That's when you get the, I can't do this. Played off really funny because everyone just trips over and she's like, no, I can't do it. I'm just a normal person. I'm not a god. So you get the mid-credit roll. That's when it picks up again. She's like, actually, I would like to at least apologise to him, which is nice. She hasn't agreed to take on the role of a god. She wants to apologise. She said something hurtful. Even though he is a ball of anger, he does have feelings under there. Nanami is pretty much a very lovable character. You come to love her. She's funny. They're equally as funny as each other. And when you get the dynamic, they really do know how to give sass. She can give sass, he can give sass, and they know how to bounce off each other. I think they're a fantastic duo when they get going. One of my favourite spooky bits, Spirit Realm. This is a place that you can reach by going to all the dark places in the world, which I really like the fact that the Spirit Realm is just a layer beneath. And they say humans sometimes stumble here by accidents. You're not supposed to be able to be there because they're dangerous spirits. It does remind me a bit of Spirited Away. All these stalls with all the foods. It's a complete change of pace. Tomoe, who was initially going to get that apology, she's about to apologise and she's standing behind the wall, but she hears him state that he doesn't care if the shrine falls to ruin. Angers Nanami, who hasn't got a home. At least you have a home that you can come back to. Tomoe ends up spurring Nanami on, and that is perhaps when we start to finally get that push when Nanami's like, okay, screw it, I'm going back, I can do this. I don't feel bad for you. Just angry. When you hear somebody bragging about being able to abandon a home, she just gets angry because, it triggers her. Unintentional as well. I don't think Tomoe realises that she's there. He does unintentionally spur her on to have a new perspective and try. It's a nice little moment, but it's also quite irritating because you can see Tomoe getting into a bad mood because he didn't really want her to be there. It's when you do see him yelling at the sidekicks for like being like, why did you bring her in? It's just a realm that isn't for the humans. That's what makes it creepier when you realize that people can accidentally fall into a realm. Now, Tomoe for most of this episode has been in a bit of a foul mood, but his foul mood is about to get even worse because Nanami just called him out. I think it is funny just to see him not bothered if they eat her. So he's like, I don't care, but right now I'm in a really bad mood. Moody teenager moment, which I think is absolutely hilarious. Trying to tell Nanami, you can actually have Tomoe obey you. The powers that the land god has form a contract with a familiar to get them to do her bidding. Grey line for me comes at the price of a kiss, which Nanami at this point is like, no, I'm not doing it. But you do see initially she has got this streak of mischievousness. Oh, I can make this guy do whatever I want. She's actually quite into it until she realizes exactly what cost it comes at. And that's when she's like, nope, I'm running away. I'm getting out of here. Big shady affair. What are you guys trying to make me do? At this point, we go into the bit where Nanami is almost killed because of her kindness, where she tries to help the old woman. Anything in that forest, just don't. Even if you think it's a kid or something, just don't. Nothing in that forest is worth you stopping. Almost gets her killed. It's another feel for the character. You see that even when her life is in danger, she stops to pick the old woman up. It's the prospect that she's about to get eaten by all of these monsters. She also tries to help her. But all the way through this little sequence, as fast as it is moving, there are some very funny comic moments where the witch tries to eat Kotetsu, when Nanami is trying to use the talisman for the first time and she tries to wish for a big, amazing thing. And you can only really do it at the same level as your power. Essentially, she gets the 3 wishes. She wastes one. The second one she does actually use properly. And then the third one is where she tries to call Tomoe. Please just help me. It's really heartfelt because she's asking for help. You're like, oh, maybe he's going to go and help. But he decides that he wants to go and watch her get eaten. Fine. Tomoe is still in a really bad mood. It feels like it's going at 1,000,000 miles per hour, but it doesn't push the romance aspects. There's a few hints that he might be just warming to her, but it's not done very, very quickly. And it's moments like this where he's like, and I'm just going to go and laugh at you as you're hanging off a tree. Because Nanami is very close to becoming Sunday lunch. It's when she starts to break a few of the twigs and she starts to fall down even further. You can see him getting more and more agitated. He might be there just enjoying his sake. He is bothered and you can see him getting towards the edge. He probably wouldn't have let her hit the floor even if she hadn't made a contract with him. Nanami's stubbornness to the max. All she had to do was just say, sorry, I'm just a bad human. I'm foolish. Come save me. I'm just going to let go, grab your foot, and I'm going to try and attempt to do that kiss. God, and also gets a kiss in episode 1, which that must be really rare for a rom-com, right? Like, people don't get that kiss at episode number 1 unless it's by accident or they fall on each other. The contract is finally formed. Tomoe, his freedom only lasted a few hours. You can see why he's in a very, very foul mood. Shrine familiar once again, having to help her out. As he's falling, he screams the S word because it's Shimata. In the version I was watching, it was translated to curses, but I'm pretty sure it can be close to the S word. Is this really the good guy? And I'm like, okay, this is so clever because me, who knows? That frame with him looking very angry and him attacking the old woman. She's like, oh no, don't hurt me. I'm just a frail old woman. And you can see him kicking her going, you are not feeble. No way, not a chance. It's just a funny moment because him kicking her feels like he's really getting out his system. This is your introduction to our angry boy. This is Tomoe. This is the love interest. Heartfelt thank you at the end. Tomoe's face is like, he's angry and irritated, but you're like, oh, did she maybe chink through a little bit of your armor there? Let's go home. It brings on the ED. The ED is so nice. It's a reprise of the OP. The same beat. It feels connected. I like it when an OP and ED are connected. If you want to see more on that, go check out my midway review because the midway review is finally out, crowning top 3 OPs, EDs of the current anime season. There is an anime in particular which does the same connected feel. It ended up quite high on the list, so go check out what the anime that is. Roll credits, we get a few moments of the anime going through, but it feels really soft. The ED is softer than the OP. OP is still very, very soft and chill. Tomoe with his long hair is seen in the credits, and my heart goes bump, bump, bump because I love him to pieces. I'm torn between short hair and long hair Tomoe. I like him with the long hair, but I also like him with the short hair. I don't know which one I prefer, but this is my favourite anime of all time. I love it. I would love for a remake, but I would also be worried that they'd ruin it. I don't want you to ruin this one. I started watching this after Inuyasha. Really big into Inuyasha. It might be one of my very early seasons of animes where I was just binging the whole lot because there was so much of it. That might have been one of my first dedicated to an anime watch. And then this came along and it filled a gap. Still had that supernatural vibe to it. Tomoe still looks a little bit like Sesshomaru. Again, it's the white-haired characters. I've got a thing for white-haired characters. This anime came along and it was funny. It was interesting. Romance aspects aren't pushed too heavily, which I think I appreciate. And it builds naturally. And then you read the manga and it gets even better. It's so good. I really did end up feeling for the characters. There was a lot of hilarious moments. I remember watching certain episodes and being unable to just breathe because of how funny it was. I definitely recommend this for people who have enjoyed things like Noragami. If you've enjoyed Fruits Basket, it's not got anywhere near as the amount of sadness that Fruits Basket have. Not till the later arcs anyway. But if you like rom-coms, if you like romances, and if you like the supernaturals, this is the anime for you. Multitude of side characters, but it's not a harem. A great anime. I definitely recommend it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm glad to have shared this one with you. We've only really got 6 left. Enjoy them while they last because next season we have the full 3 animes again, so we won't be doing Rewind next season. You guys will have to let me know once all of the Rewind is done, if you enjoyed it, whether it's worth maybe bringing it back at some point. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys are having a great day. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye.